Well, let's speak to our business correspondent, Archana Shukla, who has just returned from Sri Lanka, now in Mumbai, to tell us more, Archana, about the challenge he faces following the IMF bailout in 2022.
Well, yes, as the new president takes over in Sri Lanka, the biggest challenge that he inherits is the economic recovery. So far, Sri Lanka's economic recovery has been fragile. While some indicators do show a positive, the country is on a growth path, but still high living costs have been burdening people. And that was one of the big reasons why Dissanayike's pledges on cutting income tax, slashing sales tax on medicines and food, as well as renegotiating terms with IMF actually resonated with citizens and voters. But that would be a big challenge, is how can, how does Dissanayike, balance delivering on his promises as well as balancing Sri Lanka's fragile balance sheet. Remember, the foreign reserves in Sri Lanka at the moment at $6 billion can last for only 3 months. The IMF program is just halfway through. Government's revenue, boosting measures are still not solidified. And the debt restructuring plan has still not been finalized. So the country is not back on track to getting further fresh loans from the market. Getting all of this in place and pushing the country on economic recovery would be the biggest challenge. And at the same time, keeping political stability in the country would be another.
And briefly, Archana, what about his plans to deal with corruption? Talk us through how easy or difficult that will be.
Well, that was the big plank on which Anura Dissanayake has actually won the election. People since 2022, when citizens went out on the street to protest, were asking for a proper system change because people have been associating the economic mismanagement to the corruption in the system. And with Dissanayake coming in as the new president, a left-leaning party taking charge is certainly a big change. And he's also promised to, wipe out fraud and corruption from the top. There would be a complete overhaul of the systems, but that could be a bit tricky and difficult, experts say, considering the deep-rooted nature of corruption in the country. Dissanayake in some of his rallies has also spoken about big infrastructure projects that have come in from India and China that could have been the reason why the country went into the economic crisis, and he has said he would relook at some of those. Now, his foreign policy and how he maneuvers two of the big bilateral partners, India and China, on this regard would also be tricky to watch.
Okay, Archana Shukla, thank you very much for talking us through what's going on in Sri Lanka. There are growing rumours